Hello, welcome to Locked on Sharks, the premier hockey podcast of your favorite team in the Bay Area. And on today's episode, we recap the weekend that was as the Sharks fall 2-1 to the Carolina Hurricanes in a valiant effort where they stuck around in a embarrassing 5-2 loss to the Chicago Blackhawks, who are actively trying to lose. All that and more on today's episode of Locked on Sharks.
You're Locked on Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm your host, JD Young, contributor at Fear the Fin and San Jose Hockey Now. I want to thank you for making Locked on Sharks your first listen. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts. And of course, subscribe on YouTube as well. And the Sharks might stink. That's my biggest takeaway from this weekend in their two losses. One loss to a very, very good Carolina Hurricanes team, which potential cup contender, expected to make a deep playoff run and hung in there pretty well with them. And then you get the doors blown off you by the Chicago Blackhawks, who are actively trying to be one of the worst teams in the NHL in a 5-2 loss that it was just embarrassing on all accounts. So we're going to start. We'll start with the big takeaways, and then we'll kind of go game by game here. So, I knew this team was going to struggle to score goals this year, but the Sharks have played 4 games and they have 6 goals. That's not very good. That's a goal and a half per game this year. And you played 2 games against the Nashville Predators, who are a pretty quality team, expected to contend for the playoffs, does not be a playoff team. And that was in Prague. You had a week off, and then you play a game against the Carolina Hurricanes, who are, like I said, one of the top 5, probably in that range, somewhere 5, 6, 7. They're a very good NHL team that is expected to be, like, if they won the Stanley Cup this year, you'd be like, okay, I can see that, right? It's not like it's a surprise if this team won the Stanley Cup. And then you play the Chicago Blackhawks, who are, again, actively trying to be bad, right? They traded DeBrincat this offseason. They've actively taken apart pieces of this team so they can be bad. We talked, the starting goal. Alex Stalock starting the games for them this year. They had like this season. We went through their lineup the other day, and it's not. This team is not very good, and they're built to be very bad right now. And good for them. Like Peter Mrazek, not a high caliber starting goaltender this day and age, right? You made them look like a really competent team. And whether it's a team still learning the new system, still trying to feel each other out, I know you've had a very long trip to Prague and back, and condensed preseason with that. Some of your Barabanov's been hurt. Marcus Nudovara, Timo Meier, Mario Ferraro banged up a little bit. Were game time decisions for Friday night's game. This team is bad, and I knew they were going to struggle to score goals, and we're seeing this right now, especially when Tomas Hertl and Timo Meier aren't the driving engine of the team. This team is struggling, and it's not just on 5-on-5. The power play was brutal this weekend. That's fine. You struggle against the Carolina Hurricanes, who was the best best penalty kill of the entire NHL last year. But to give up 2 shorthanded goals against the Blackhawks, that's a lot of stuff not working well. So I proclaimed this team's going to be one of the 5 worst. People thought, JD, you're an idiot. Look at all the talent they added. They have NHL players now, real NHL players. They're going to be better. No, they are not. We clearly see this team, and I know it's 4 games in the season and stuff, but and you're playing, you've had 4 games and they've all been part of a back-to-back. I get that. But what can you point to right now other than James Reimer and say, "Yep, that's working well for us"? You've scored 6 goals in 4 games. You're playing the Islanders, who scored 7 goals in 1 game against the Ducks on Tuesday, and the Islanders are not an offensive juggernaut team. We know how the Islanders like to play. Like, the Islanders want to win every game 2-1. Lula and Morel's wet dream is to win every game 2-1, and that, play the most boring style hockey, but you win every game 2-1. They won 7-1 against the Ducks this weekend, and that's who you're playing on Tuesday. What can you point to the Sharks right now that you're like, I feel really good about this? There, other than James Reimer, there isn't anything that you can point to with the Sharks. They are a lost team this early in the season. And again, I know it's a long season, and we are 4 games into a new coaching staff, new GM, this roster has been turned over a ton, and it's going to take a while for these guys to gel, but nothing is clicking right now for the Sharks, and they look like the worst team in the NHL right now. And you know what? I'm perfectly happy with that. All right, before we dig into the Carolina Hurricanes game and look at some of the player usage, and we know how the game went, so I want to kind of dig into how players were being utilized, who was being utilized where. Let's take a quick break. We'll talk to you guys about our friends over at SimpliSafe. And if you guys want to take care of your house and your belongings, SimpliSafe is the way to go. Numbers don't lie. In the last decade, over 4 million people have chosen SimpliSafe home security to protect their home. You don't earn the trust of many people without doing something right. At SimpliSafe, your safety is the number one thing that matters. And a great thing about it, they have 24/7 professional monitoring agents who will always have your back. They protect you with the most cutting-edge security technology. With 24/7 professional monitoring, SimpliSafe's agents call you the moment something's happening and detects police, or if anything happens, they dispatch the police or first responders in emergency, even if you're at home and you can't be reached. So if you're out in Yosemite, like I'm going to be soon, and you want someone, they're going to watch your home while you're not there. What more could you ask for? They blanket your home with protection with advanced sensors for every room, window, and door, HT security cameras for inside and outside your home, and smarter ways to detect motion that only alert you when a threat is real. So that way you're not getting fake calls or like, oh, I think something's happening, and then it's, a squirrel running in your backyard or something like that. And even hazard sensors that instantly detect fires, floods, and other threats to your home, and they're monitorized. Experts use they use advanced response technology to visually confirm when break-in is real, so you get the highest priority police dispatch. So head to their website at simplisafe.com/lockedonnhl and save 20% on your SimpliSafe security system when you sign up for an interactive monitoring plan. Get your first month free. Visit simplisafe.com/lockedonnhl to learn more. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. Okay, so let's dig into this Carolina Hurricanes game, which you do have to give a hand to the Sharks. It was a very valiant effort against a very, very good team, right? And I talked about on Friday's preview episode, where the only really way for the Sharks to kind of win this game is to have James Reimer stand on his head. Check. James Reimer was outstanding in that game. Survive the onslaught of shots from the Carolina Hurricanes. Check. And then take advantage of the opportunities that you get Womp, 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 womp. Just couldn't quite do it there. So the Hurricanes, of course, won 2-1. Sebastian Aho scores a game-winning goal with about 2 minutes left in the third. But digging into this game, like the way the Canes just, if you listen to my live cast on the postcast on Friday or night's game, the Canes just thoroughly dominated this game on all levels, right? At 5-on-5, the Sharks had 20 shot attempts. These aren't shots on goal. This is them actually taking a shot. So those are shots that miss, shots that are blocked, shots on goal combined at 5-on-5, and that was in about little under 44 minutes of time. They had 20 shots on goal compared to the Carolina Hurricanes 54. So I talked about where the Hurricanes, that's what they do, right? They are going to shoot, 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 and they're going to continually put the pressure on you. James Reimer was excellent. I cannot stress how great James Reimer was. So, at 5-on-5 again, the Sharks had 4 high danger chances compared to the Carolina Hurricanes 10. The Sharks expected goals at 5-on-5, 0.75 expected goals to the Carolina Hurricanes 2.15. So, the Canes did a great job of getting close to the net and just continually firing on James Reimer, and that's what they did, and that's how they won the game. And then if you look like on the power play, the Sharks power play just struggled on the power play. Like they just not clean transition, and that is fine. That you're going to expect that against you're rolling out a new power play and you're playing the best penalty kill in the league last year. So, that just, and I think that power play, we haven't seen it click. And that was what I was kind of hoping would be the one redeeming factor for the Sharks this year is David Quinn can coach up a power play. And we saw that with the Rangers, where that was kind of their bread and butter of that's how we're going to score. If we play even to just a little bit below even on 5-on-5, but we can make up for it in the power play. That's how we're going to win some of these games. But the power play just has not gotten clicking, and we saw that against the Blackhawks, so we will get to it in a little bit. But that has been one of the kind of disappointing things. So if we look at the forward line, so for the Canes game, it was Hertl, Meyer, Cunnin, Couture, Lawrence, LeBanc, Lindblom, Benito, Nieto, and Svechnikov, Sturm, and Gregor. And the Couture line got their lunch taken from. And that, again, we know the Canes are a great team. That second line on their team is great. But, I mean, all the lines got their lunch taken from them. But the Couture line, 7, almost 8 minutes of time on ice. They had one shot attempt at 5-on-5, and they gave up 12 shot attempts. Again, when you only have 20 shot attempts, you're going to get dominated there. But looking at it was interesting to see how Quinn, I've been kind of tracking how Quinn is utilizing these face-offs and stuff, right? The Couture line kind of pretty balanced when it came to their zone distributions. They had 3 offensive zone starts, 5 neutral zone, and 4 defensive zone. Okay, pretty solid. The Benito line keeps getting the most offensive zone starts, 4 offensive zone starts, 1 neutral zone start, and 5 defensive zone starts. And this one's the head scratcher to me. Hertl, Meyer, and Cunnin, who's supposed to be your big line, 1 offensive zone start, 7 neutral zones, 7 defensive zone starts. So again, we're seeing where I don't know if these guys are being put in, I question how these guys are being utilized, right? This team struggles to score, and anytime you get an offensive zone start, you're putting out Nick Bonino, and God bless Nick Bonino. He's still out there doing his thing, but I don't know why is not Hertl and Timo Meyer, who are your 2 best offensive players, why are they not getting as many offensive zone starts as you can? And especially James Reimer was playing out of his mind that night. Like, I'll get to James Reimer in a minute, but like, why is this team not putting offense? Why are you not placing these guys in offensive zone starts? And if you're gonna protect the Nick Bonino line, that third line, why not just play Thomas Bordeleau, who can provide more offense than Nick Bonino? If you're going anyway, that's my question. I mean, I made my point about Nick Bonino getting 8 offensive zone starts, but again, this team has scored 6 offensive goals in 4 games. The Barracuda scored 6 offensive goals or 6 goals. Yeah, offensive. The Barracuda scored 6 goals in 2 games against the Iowa Wild this weekend. Like, yeah. But James Reimer, let's give him his kudos, because he was absolute monster against the Carolina Hurricanes. So only got the Hurricanes 5-on-5. Actually, we'll look at all situations here. So Carolina Hurricanes, all situations. James Reimer, 58, because they pulled him for the extra attacker at the end. 35 shots against, 33 saves, gave up 2. Expected goals against, 3. He had a 943 save percentage and 2 goals allowed. 11 high danger shots against. He had 9 high danger saves, 818 high danger save percentage, which is very good. Medium danger, 7. 7 saves on 7 shots, and low danger, 13 of 13. Rush attempts, 3 rush attempts against, and then 2, but average goal distance at 7.5 feet. So they were doing a great, like, that's where he gave them up, and we saw those as were those kind of quick rushes, the Sebastian Aho play where he just gets around and does Sebastian Aho things. So James Reimer was outstanding Friday night, and if it wasn't for Reimer, that game could have been easy, like 4-1 or 5-1 type of thing. So before we get into the abysmal Blackhawks and their 5-2 win, I do want to let you guys know, of course, about our new thing, our game to game. So thanks for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Now make your second listen game to game of the NHL. Every moment, every top performance, every result, Locked On Game to Game covers every game from across the NHL with local analysis that only Locked On can deliver. So follow Game to Game on your Locked On NHL, on Locked On NHL, available on Odyssey, the Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get podcasts. All right, this Blackhawks game I was laughing on the couch by the end of this game because it was just comical how bad. So first off, it takes you 12 minutes the Sharks didn't register a shot on goal for the first 12 minutes of this game. And I will give them credit. They very slow start. I get it. Second, I have a back-to-back. Takes a little bit to get your legs under you, right? The last 8 minutes of the first period, they played great, right? You had 2 goals, Nico Sturm getting on the board, and then Erik Karlsson was amazing that first period. So Erik Karlsson dangling, making a slight move, finds Nico Sturm. Nico Sturm buries it home. And then the goal that Carl originally gave it to Couture, and then Erik Karlsson, they later reviewed and gave it to Erik Karlsson, where the shot pass where he's going for the deflection, it hits the defender's skate and goes in. But then the second period, the wheels fall off. You're giving up 2 penalty kill, 2 shorthanded goals in the matter of less than 4 minutes is insane. Just insane. And poor Capo Kakinen just getting hung out to dry there, where it's poor getting back. It's piss poor play of just not getting back and helping your goalie out, giving giving them all the time in the world to do whatever they want. And credit to Sam Lafferty, hustle plays, then Johnny on the spot in the right spot there, and Jason Dickinson making great plays to help set up Sam Lafferty. But Logan Couture on the second one, Sam Lafferty is just standing in front of Capo Kakinen, like 5 feet in front of him, and Couture just went full-blown disconnected controller, just standing there doing nothing, like standing next to Capo Kakinen, almost like, dude, do you see this shot coming in? Terrible play. Like, just the effort there was bad. And and then it snowballed from there. This team just cannot deal with any sort of adversity right now. The Mario Ferrara goes for a shot, it hits a guy, and then it's off to the races. Off to the races for the Blackhawks. I think that was I think that was a Taylor Radish goal where it was ended up being a 2-on-1 type of thing, and poor Capo Kakinen, just no chance there. So, yeah, just abysmal performance by everybody. Again, let's look at how these guys were utilized. So we had everybody was the same except for Noah Gregor came out for Jonah Gadovich, and the Luke Kunin, Tomas Hurdle, Timo Meyerline, pretty solid night. They didn't let the score sheet, but 11 shots for, 4 shots allowed. But they did give up a goal, had the most expected goals of 0.33 of all the offensive lines. Lorenz Couture LeBanc gave up had 9 shot attempts for, 5 shot attempts allowed. Lindblom, Benito, Matt Nieto in 8.5 minutes, 6 shots for, 5 shot attempts allowed. And then Gadovich, Sturm, Svechnikov, 5 shot attempts for, 6 shot attempts allowed. And then looking at the zone faceoff, so a little bit better tonight. A little bit more evenly distributed after that game, where we saw the Couture or the Hurdle line, 6 offensive zones faceoffs, 3 neutral zone, 4 defensive zone. And again, the Couture line, which 3 offensive, 6 neutral, 3 defensive zone. But then the Benito line again, 5 offensive zone, 0 neutral zone, and 2 defensive zone. And then the Sturm was 1, 2, and 2. But like, why is Nick Bonino getting such like premium offensive zone starts? And they're not doing. I mean, I went through they had 6 shot attempts for and 5 shot attempts against. So they're getting all the best zone starts, but they're just not doing anything with them. I don't get this. That line gave up. They had 0.13 expected goals at 5-on-5, while the Blackhawks, who are, again, I can't stress enough how bad the Blackhawks are, at 0.34 expected goals against. Like, why is this team why is this line like, why is the Matt Nieto getting premium offensive zone starts? I don't get it. And yeah, poor Capo Kakinen. Just all situations here, just getting absolutely buried. So, had 5 high danger chances and only made 2 high danger chance saves. But again, like, how many of the, it's a 2-on-1 or it's a breakaway, and yes, you have to make a save there, but like, you're just expecting Capo Kakinen to, bail you out there. So he had 2 saves and 3 goals against. Medium danger, 12 shot attempts and 10 saves. They gave up 2 goals, and then 6 low dangers. So the fact that they're, the Blackhawks were just able to get insane amount of shot, early, like close, or insane amount of high danger and mid danger compared to low danger shots. So credit to the Blackhawks. They came in, they were the better team that night, but you have to have big questions about this team. And like I asked at the beginning of the podcast, what does this team do well right now? The penalty kill? Sure. but you're on the penalty kill for 5 minutes a night, maybe. Like at 5-on-5, this team just isn't doing anything, and I wonder how long Quinn is going to keep doing what he's doing before he realizes I have guys in the AHL right now who are lighting it up, and quick, like 2 minutes on the Barracuda. I know this is Locked On Sharks, but I think my impression on Twitter over the weekend was people were more excited about what the Barracuda are doing than what the Sharks. And the Barracuda, great weekend, first road trip, first 2 games this season. You go to Iowa. Now Iowa, like the Wild have a really good prospect pool. Like they have really high quality players in their prospect pool, and Jesper Wallstedt, who started on Friday night's game, like he is a legit. Like if you listen for a while, I love Wallstedt coming out of the draft. If Eklund wasn't there, I would have been perfectly happy with them drafting Jesper Wallstedt because he's very, very good. But Bordelot scored, Eklund scored this weekend. Tristan Robbins scored this weekend. Like a lot of these, Ryan Merkley looked amazing this weekend, and that is what we want to see from Ryan Merkley on a much bigger sample. But like, how long is David Quinn going to continue to trot out your Matt Nietos and your Noah Gadoviches and your, I don't mean to pick on these guys, but how long is he going to pick, just keep trotting these guys out here and expect something different? And the Sharks have a huge East Coast swing here, so that they play the Islanders on Tuesday. Then I think they play the Rangers on Thursday. Then you have another back-to-back this weekend with the Devils, who have not gotten off to a great start, but have a lot of talent, and the Flyers, who've gotten off to a pretty decent start so far. How long is David Quinn going to keep doing the same thing and expect different results? So we'll see. It's still really early in the season, but I'm pretty confident in saying right now that the Sharks are the worst team in the NHL, and the Blackhawks just proved it. So yeah. All right, that'll do it for today's episode. We'll be back tomorrow to get you guys ready for the Islanders. So we'll dig into the lines, dig in to see if there's any change-ups in the lineups, look at the Islanders, what they do well, what they're kind of checking on their offseason, and get you guys ready for the Islanders-Sharks game on Tuesday. But before we get out of here, do want to let you guys know about Locked On Fantasy Hockey. Thank you guys, of course, making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Now go make your second listen or your third listen, since I've told you 2 things. Locked On Fantasy Hockey. Steel Rodent and Phil Livingston bring you the fantasy edge and keep you ahead of the competition with daily updates of news, analysis, and advice Monday through Friday. They also have some nice betting tips in there too. They played some pretty fun, like blocks of the day and stuff like that. So go check those guys out over on YouTube, Odyssey, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can check out the show on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Locked On Sharks. And if you guys are following along, I did a bunch of clips this weekend. So especially going to be trying to do the Barracuda clips, because I know not everybody has AHL TV that we can still kind of follow along. And we keep track of all the prospects as well, what they're doing. So make sure you guys following along, especially on Twitter, Locked On Sharks, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can listen wherever you get podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Odyssey, you name it. If you can listen to podcasts, you can find Locked On Sharks there. You can also YouTube. Go check out the YouTube page. Especially on the weekends, going to be doing postcasts where we'll have instant analysis, all vibes. Actually, no, not analysis. It's just all vibes about what happened that night before. It's pretty fun to go hang out. I think we had like 20, 25 of us on Friday night. Got to do that. Maybe I might have a fun special guest every once in a while. So go subscribe on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter at myfryhole, and be back tomorrow. Get you guys ready for the Islanders. Until then, bye, friends.